looking for some advice you might give the young professionals here. I could be classified as one of those helpers you describe in your annual report. In fact, most of my friends are helpers, and some could be classified as super helpers. Most would love to step out and explore some of their more innovative ideas, innovative business models, strategies, and things of that nature, but at the risk of giving up a significant salary, health insurance, flights, all the ridiculous corporate perks that some of us young professionals earn. What advice would you have in us into pursuing those dreams?
Charlie, what do you think? Well, there's certainly a lot more helpers in the economy than there used to be. And the ones that come here tend to be the very best of the helper class. So I don't think you should judge the helper class by those you meet here. We get the best of them. And as to what the young helpers ought to do so that they'll eventually be like Warren Buffett, I would say the best thing you can do is reduce your expectations.
I think I've heard that before. Well, it is, as I wrote about, and I'm trying to tweak the system a little bit, but it is an interesting business in that the activities of the professionals are self-neutralizing, and if your wife is going to have a baby, you're going to be better off if you call an obstetrician probably than if you do it yourself. And if your plumbing pipes are clogged or something, you're probably better off calling a plumber. Most professions have value added to them above what the layman can accomplish themselves. In aggregate, the investment profession does not do that. So you have a huge group of people making, I put the estimate as $140 billion a year, that in aggregate are and can only accomplish what somebody can do, in 10 minutes a year by themselves. And it's hard to think of another business like that, Charlie.
I can't think of any.
No. But it's become a bigger and bigger business. And as I've pointed out in the report, the main thing that's been learned is that if the more you charge, at least temporarily, the more money you bring in. That people have this idea that price equals value. It's useful to get into a business like that. Sometimes if I'm talking to the people at a business school, I ask them to name me a great business. And of course, one of the great businesses is a business school, because basically the more you charge, the more your prestige is to some extent. And people think that a business school that charges $50,000 a year of tuition is going to be better than one charges $10,000 a year of tuition. So there's some of that there's a lot of it that's gotten into the investment field recently. And you now have certain large portions of investment management that are charging fees that in aggregate cannot work out for investors. Now, obviously some do, but you cannot be paying people 2% and 20% where they get it in the good years and they fold their partnerships and start another one if they have a bad year and that sort of thing. You can't have that coming out of an economy that's only going to produce, we'll say, 7% or something like that a year for investors, and have people net better off. It isn't going to work. And then the question that you will have is, how do I pick out the few exceptions? And everyone that calls upon you to sell you this will tell you that they are an exception. And I am willing to bet a significant sum of money, we'll put it up, to anybody who wants to name 10 partnerships that are $500 million or more of management and pit those after fees against the S&P over a 10-year period. it gets away from the survivorship bias and all that kind of thing. And it isn't going to happen. But a few will do well. They're bound to do well. And I think I do know how to pick a few that will do well. I mean, I did it in the past when I wound up my own partnership in 1969. I told people to go to either Bill Ruane or Sandy Gottesman, and that would have been a very good decision, whichever place they went. So if you know enough about the person, know enough how they've done it in the past, know enough about their personality and honesty and a whole bunch of things, I think that occasionally you can make a very intelligent choice in picking an investment manager. But I don't think you can do it if you're running a pension fund in some state and you have 50 people calling on you. You're going to go with the ones that are the best salespeople and not the ones that are the best investors.